which they broke down even more, like more specifically how you should do a pitch, about how many slides you should use and things like that. So it kind of fit right with what you guys are already teaching us here in She Means Business. So I thought that that was really good. And I always, this is one of the bigger events that I've been to, but the second one similar to the one like I went to at the summit for women. But this was the first one that was that big that involved like women businesses only. And so it always gives me kind of an out of body experience, in that you're surrounded around women that's kind of on the same wavelength. They're on a similar journey, maybe, a little bit ahead of you, maybe a little bit behind you, maybe right where you are. But it's just a great feeling just being surrounded around other women that are, on their journey to be entrepreneurs. And, the room was just filled with a lot of positivity, a lot of great ideas, women from all different walks. And of course, the venue was amazing. I always like going to that venue. And so it's just an all around good experience. And of course, great to see all the staff and everybody from She Means Business was really great too.
Awesome. Awesome. So I guess, ladies, the both of you that have already commented, what's one thing that you would tell your cohort members? Like if there's another event coming up like this, is, what's one piece of information or one tip that you would tell them for an event like this in the future?
Oh, I would definitely tell them sign up. Because there's more stuff coming down the pipeline. Like I always, when I go to events like this, I end up signing up for the newsletter for whoever organized the event, which was Stella for this one.
Mhm.
That way, whatever they have coming up. Um, Anyone on here that doesn't have a LinkedIn, that was definitely like the go-to when I was running into anybody. They were like, "What's your LinkedIn? What's your LinkedIn? What's your LinkedIn?" Like, so it was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's the mode to catch people. But I would just say start signing up for things that is in and around your town or Rochester or Buffalo that's for women businesses, and get on either their newsletter contact information like list, or their LinkedIn or their Evite page. That way, whatever they have coming up, and then you can kind of follow suit. And it's not always something you have to attend. A lot of these things are just online.
Oh, we lost you, Tony. I think you muted yourself.
Sorry.
There
Um,
you go.
they have like classes and courses that you can take online to further your business. So it's not always something you have to attend or feel like, you have to break up your work day or something like that. Some of them are even like an hour long. So I would just say get on their newsletter or email listing so that you can know when things are coming up.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony. Jana, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, along those same lines, I think of all the sessions I did at the event, the one that was most beneficial for me was the one about how networking to improve your net worth
Mm-hmm.
with Andrea Holland. It was amazing. A lot of times when I go to events like this, obviously I go to a lot of events like this, but um, sometimes the answers that you get when you ask specific questions can be necessarily like a concrete solution. It's like, oh, just show up more and better things
Right.
will happen, and which is not always
Right.
useful. But her advice was really concrete and awesome. And her main thing she was saying is that when you are out networking at events like this, there are 5 kinds of people that you want to look to connect with and have in your professional circle. So you want to have um, the confidant that you can like tell secrets to and be vulnerable with. You want to have the hype man that's gonna like hug you up and like your cheerleader, your Flava Flav. That's what she said. You want to have the influencer who will tell everybody all about how great your business is and what you do. You want to have the mentor who is usually older but more experience, has already done a lot of the things that you are looking to do, to ask for advice. And then you want to have the sponsor who's willing to open the door for you to get you into rooms that you can't be in. So I'll type the list out. But it was just really valuable to put it in that light and say, if you don't have at least one of each of those people in your circle, really look for someone to fill that spot when you're out
Right.
networking at an event. Like if you're like, wow, I really, I need a mentor, I need someone who's more experienced than me, maybe pick a type of group that is full of business owners who already have lots more experience than you, and go
Right.
and show up in that room. And in that note, I cannot say enough about NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners. I've been a member for a long time. It is hands down like the best investment as far as networking for my business. And we have a big, huge event that's coming up on May 8th. That's this progressive networking dinner called Each One Reach One. It's at the Marriott outside Buffalo. It's like $60, but you move from table to table at each of the courses. So you get to really closely network with at least 25 to 30 people, in addition to like the mingling, getting to know people. And it is really, really an awesome event. So I'll share the link to that in the chat too.
Perfect. Thank you, Jana. So just a quick reminder, we do have that group via LinkedIn. So if you want to share it on there as well, Jana, that would be a good place. And again, that goes out to everyone else. If you have an event or something like this, a networking event that you think would be beneficial to the group, please feel free to go ahead and share that in there. But also keep in mind, it's not all about self-promotion, obviously. It's, you want to make sure that you're making valuable connections, because like Jana said, there's already 5 specific people that you want to connect with that are going to be beneficial to you, beneficial to your business. And the same goes, right? Like you want to make sure that you're pouring into other folks as well. Keto, you have your hand up?
Yes. Is it possible if an invite could be sent to me from the LinkedIn group, because I can't locate it by just doing a query?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, tell her to check her inbox. I did it last week.
Okay. Keto Marisol said that she sent an invite. So check your inbox. It was sent last week. Check your spam, because for whatever reason that happens sometimes.
It's the inbox through LinkedIn.
Oh, she said it's the inbox through LinkedIn. So double check that just in case. And that goes for everyone else in the group. If you're still having some trouble with that, Keto, send us an email, and then we can get on that again. Okay.
Okay, so I think I located it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna accept it.
Perfect.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, ladies. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the feedback about the event. Thank you for sharing information on more events, because that's part of what this is about, right? So we don't want to take any more time away from our sponsors, Citizens, because they will be presenting today's course. So we have Sammy on the line. Sammy, wave for us.
Hello, everyone.
And then we have Manzir, also from Citizens. So he's going to be assisting Sammy with the slides. And as always, we have Marisol, and then we also have Miss Kim on the line. So we are fully packed today and ready to learn this next session. So gear up, make sure you take your notes. And as always, interactive session. So if you have questions and things like that, please feel free to bring them up. We will be watching the chat and making sure we get that stuff answered. Okay. Enjoy today's class.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sammy. I am with Citizens Bank. I'm a branch manager at the Arundequoit location. I've been with Citizens for about 10 years. And I have my colleague, Manzir, who's at the South Clinton location. So today we're going to be talking about how to communicate your business. This session is all about how to effectively communicate your business. And this is module 5. It's going to be all about the business pitch. Think yourself as in front of the Shark Tank and you're getting ready to pitch your business. You've talked about module 1 through 4, setting your business plan, setting a strategy, and the options available for financing a business. Now we're going to get interpersonal and talk about how to sell your vision to others. So next, let's take a look at our agenda. Mantra, if you can go to the next slide for me, please.
The next one after this one?
Yep, no, this one. So if you'll take a look at your agenda, we're going to start with importance of communication, and that is how to pitch. We'll review how effectively pitch a business and share tips to avoid common mistakes. We have a video ready from Shark Tanks to learn about from the experts in pitching assessment. And we'll have a practice session. So practice makes perfect, where you'll get to practice your pitching, whether it's your own business or a juice shop, and we'll receive a detailed feedback from your fellow small business owners for future improvement. And we'll have a debrief to talk about what went well, and even if better statements, and from the practice, from the pitching activity. And at the end, there will be opportunity to use notes from the guide and incorporate with your feedback received into the future pitching practice. And there will be also links to further opportunities for pitching refinement. And then the next slide for us, please. And to start off, for some ground rules, we're among our peers today. So all participants here are small business owners, just like you. So this is a great opportunity to learn from each other, but learning starts with respect. So please listen to and respect each other, and respect each other's contributions in the main room and during the breakout sessions. Second, as we mentioned, please stay on your video during the session. It's much easier for me to talk to all of you and talk to each other rather than empty boxes. Also, please mute yourself unless you're speaking. That way we avoid background noises and have unexpected interruptions. Don't get me wrong, I love puppies, but it would be best not to hear them barking in your home during the session. And then the third one, finally, let's be mindful that we only have about 60 to 90 minutes together. So we've done a lot to put together a great program. That way, that we can hopefully help your business grow, but the responsibility ultimately falls on you as a business owner. So put away any distractions, lock in, and use this time to submerge yourself in growing your business dream. Any questions on that? No? Perfect. So speaking the language of your business. Today is going to be all about communication. So let's start with my first question here. So I'd like to hear from all of you. When do you need to pitch your business idea? So you can come off mute or chat your answers in. So we're looking for basically anytime, getting a loan, to a family, friends, or to customers. When do you need to pitch your business idea?
So this is Keto. When you say, when do you need to pitch your business idea?
Correct.
It kind of sounds like a trick question. And the reason I say that is because you should always, this is your baby. You should always be talking about it.
Absolutely.
And it should be a 15 to 30 minute commercial. Seconds. I'm sorry, I didn't mean 30 minutes. 20 to 30 second commercial. Elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, but crisp and to the point.
Absolutely, 100%. You should always have an elevator pitch in your back pocket, because you never know who you're going to run into. You may be in, Dallas one day and that you run into Elon Musk in an elevator, and you have 30 seconds to wow him in with your idea. So you're absolutely right. You should always have a backup pitch, how to pitch your business or elevator as backup option. Hopefully you practice your pitch at some point beforehand. And the second question that I have is, why else is effectively communicating your business important?
Feel free to come off mute, guys.
So people can have a clear view and understanding of what your business is, because you might have a name that represents something and somebody might think it's one thing, but it's not what you actually are selling or using.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. To start with customers, we know that consumers today are more likely to be loyal to brands that display values that they align with. So you have to be able to communicate with your mission and what your business stands for. So for an example, as a branch manager, a business owner of my own branch, one of the things that I'm most proud of is my customer experience. So I always focus with my team about how to give the best experience to our customers. So when I'm out and about walking into a coffee shop, for an example, I look for that same experience. And it's the same thing for your customers. That could mean, so you have to be able to communicate your mission and what your business stands for to your customers. So that could mean like chatting with your customers in the shop, or it could even mean communicating your mission statement in a well-written story or recorded video on your website or your social media page, web page. So we obviously need to communicate our mission to our customers, which are our external stakeholders, but we also need to communicate our mission to our internal stakeholders, which is our team members. So think about it, right? How can you expect your employees to be passionate and engaged if you've never demonstrate or communicate your passion to the company mission, right? So team members are customer facing individuals, and what you teach them and what you're engaged with, that get passed down to their customers. So that's very critical there. Pitching is really about communicating why your business is important to and adds on values, and we should always get comfortable doing it all the time to appear knowledgeable and trustworthy to our stakeholders. So if you're passionate about your business, share that passion with as many people as possible. If you do it effectively, your chances that they will be as well. So let's think about how to communicate that passion the best way possible. We can go to the next slide. So we can start by talking about how, some great tips for pitching success from the Harvard Business Review. So number one is knowing your audience, okay? It's always a good idea to do your homework to get to know your audience. So get an idea of who you're pitching to, what is their track record, what are some of the things that they're interested in, and do you meet their lending or investment requirements? If so, highlight the areas that they look for and explain how you are strong on them. If not, have a good explanation how you plan on meeting their criteria in the near future. Think back on how nervous you were as a kid when you were in a class without having done the homework that you were reading, begging in your head that for the teacher not to call on you. So you never want to feel like that when you're in front of the investor when you're pitching your business. The second is considering, consider how you're presenting yourself, not just your idea. So be conscious of your presentation style, come off as an expert, and be mindful of your posture and energy level. According to research published in the Harvard Business Review, venture capitalists' interest in a startup was driven less by judgments that the founder was competent and were by perceptions about their character, energy, and trustworthiness. And the third thing is tell a good story. People love a good story. Get personal. Connect with the customers with your personal experience. What unmet customer need are you solving for? Talk about how you're doing better than the existing competition. Share those stories of transforming customers live applicable. Cover the details. Telling a story is key into introduction to a pitch. At some point, though, a good investor or a lender will start asking you questions and details of your pitch. The size of the market, your annual financials, your plan to attract and retain customers, and how you can create barriers to competition, and what makes you different than your competition that's out there. And show the roadmap, right? Of course, you should build on the story. You paint the introduction to your pitch by closing with a strong vision of the future. Where is your business going to? How are you going in the future?
Sammy, we do have some questions here in chat.
Sure.
Alicia said, how are we pitching in this competition as we are pitching to citizens?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
How are we pitching in this competition as we are pitching to citizens?
So
I can Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please. Thank you, Kim.
No question, no problem. For this pitch, you are pitching, it's a somewhat, you're pitching for a funder. I wouldn't specifically say pitch citizens so that you go and look specifically for citizens' goals. You want to just pitch as if you're pitching for funding. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
It does. I'm just curious, like, I think that those are other important things to add, like the company's values or like the funder's values. So how could we incorporate that?
Well, for this particular application, you have a varied audience, if you will. So you wouldn't have just citizens. You have Pathstone as a judge, if you will, someone who's evaluating the pitch. So with only 4 minutes with 7 slides, I would say you're okay for this particular application to leave that off because you really don't have a lot of time for extra information. That's just
Okay,
for this
makes sense.
particular
Thank you.
application.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Keto has a question as well. She raised her hand.
Hi, so I'm gonna ask a similar question, just in a slightly different way. I am currently a Citizens Bank business account holder.
Mhm.
And I do realize I'm being mindful that I have like 40 plus colleagues or other business owners pitching, right? And there's only going to be 10 that land to the end game for the first, the second, and the third prize. But as an existing Citizens Bank customer, and then also to position ourselves, if you don't make that pitch in the selection of the 10, can you actually use that opportunity that you did a pitch to maybe get funding from Pathstone? Or would you need to do a separate offline type of pitch for funding if you don't make it to one of the 10 to get to the finalists?
Good question, Keto. We got Yahida here.
Hey, Keto. So good question. In terms of a pitch, so for funding, we wouldn't be looking at the pitch itself. It would involve an application, with further documents. But that essentially part of the stuff that you're preparing for your pitch, like your slides, that's going to help you with some of the application process and documents that you need to go along with your application. So that's for Pathstone. I don't know for citizens, obviously what the requirements would be for funding, but just so you know, from our end.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always get that information from the citizens at your local branch. They should be able to provide you all the information that you need to apply for funding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So next up, I believe we have a video to play. Manzur.
We're the fabulous cast for Shark Tank, and these are the traits we look for in an entrepreneur.
One of the attributes of a great entrepreneur is it's someone who understands and knows their numbers. They understand their business model. They understand the market they are in. They understand the challenges they've got, and they're able to measure with the numbers. A great example of an entrepreneur that has a tremendous amount of energy and knew their numbers is Snarky Tees. What are your sales?
We've done $190,000 in 8 months.
Give us customer acquisition cost.
So our cost of acquiring a customer right now is about $11. How much is this? So there are 15 sachets in each of our tins, and they're $12.99. That's expensive though. A K-cup is 66 cents.
When we actually dug in to look at her numbers, and you could see she knew all of them. She really understood her numbers, her margin, her customer acquisition costs, her market. We discovered that the average order was 3 tins. So even though she's paying $11 for customer acquisition, she was basically getting about $40 an order. So she was making money. I invested in that deal along with Bethany Frankel. We made our money back in 90 days because when it aired on Shark Tank, it exploded.
But what happens after Shark Tank?
Well, Barbara, I like it when I make my money back. After that, I'm betting on the future. We've got all of our capital back, and now she's building a brand by reducing the snarkiness. In other words, the large retailers didn't like any swear words or cuss words or anything with sexual overtones. We removed all that, and we started getting retailers like Walmart and others who take in 2 or 3 different flavors, not the whole line.
Entrepreneurs need to be creative. I think the most creative minds come up with better ways to do things or new ways to do things. So creativity is innovation.
Creative thinking always is incredibly important to business because you're competing and you want to try to give yourself an edge, not only against your competition, but in trying to come up with new solutions for your customers.
Someone who inhabits creativity is Scrub Daddy.
You ever got some hot water? You ever got some cold water? When I immerse the Scrub Daddies in the hot and cold water, a complete transformation occurs. Now, to show you that, I've got 10-pound weights. Here, under the 10 pounds, it's soft and compressible. And that's like a sponge. That's for your general scrubbing applications. But here, check that out.
His product is creative, just to begin with. He came in with something that was completely different. Everything about the entrepreneur, the product, and the demo was creative.
I love to find an entrepreneur that has chutzpah. My 2 partners that did the Comfy product, which is a sweatshirt that's also a blanket, they had 2 examples of it, no inventory. They didn't know the numbers, but they had the courage to sit there and pitch as though they had gold. And that's something about those guys. I said, I'm not sure I get the product, but I went for it.
All you want is to be warm and cozy. You know, comfy. Well, that's exactly what the Comfy is designed to solve. Because it's a blanket, it's perfect for lounging around the house in total luxury. And because it's a sweatshirt, it goes with you and keeps you warm wherever you are. Oh my God.
It's a fabulous product. Never would have happened if they had waited till everything was in order and came on Shark Tank. No, they came in with just a prototype. That's it.
I think it's really important. You need to be a problem solver.
Being successful in business is never a straight line. You know, if it were easy and we start a business, then you're immediately successful or eventually even successful, then everybody would do it. It never works like that. There are always problems. There are always challenges, and you have to figure out how to solve them when you go out of business.
Let's take a look at DropStop.
The crack problems are over. Car seat crack, that was. Introducing DropStop, the first of its kind, original, patented safety device designed to once and for all block that pesky yet ever so dangerous gap between your car seat and center console. The built-in slot is designed to fit easily around the seatbelt catch like so.
Mark was driving and he got distracted because his cell phone fell down into that crack.
Mark the entrepreneur.
Yeah, Mark the entrepreneur. Yeah, that's right. His phone fell down and he went to grab it and he almost hit a tree and a pedestrian. And he said, there's got to be a better way. Like, I'm going to figure out something that blocks that gap. And so they came up with DropStop, and they've done a phenomenal business. I think we're over 40 million in sales.
So a successful entrepreneur also has the ability to motivate and work with others. Al Bubba Baker. This guy is a huge man in so many different ways. He's like your big uncle. He also has a big personality, but he also knows his ribs that are boneless, meaning the bones are actually pulled out of the rib. That is a patent on the product and the process, and he is an amazing motivator.
Now, I played a little football in the NFL for 13 years. That was my job. Barbecue is my passion. Sadly, I married a woman that doesn't like ribs because they're too messy. So I vowed to find a way for my wife to be able to enjoy ribs. But how do you make ribs less messy? You take the bones out. After 20 years, I found the perfect method, and the deboned baby back rib steaks were born. Make no bones about it, Sharks. It's time for some ribs.
What a salesman.
He is absolutely amazing. And we went on to do so many things that deal with Carl's Jr., also cruise lines, and he's just an amazing entrepreneur, but he gets to motivate people. Because listen, the buyer is going to see a bunch of ribs from so many different people. But when Al Bubba Baby comes in that room and he resonates with them and says, you know what, the best thing behind any great invention is a wife who hates ribs, right? And then he gets them to realize that. And he also talks about his time on the field. And then by the time it's over, he has them eating out of his hands. He's a motivator.
So you think motivation is the key to good salesmanship? Because that guy could sell you anything.
I believe so. You got to motivate your team. Do you want your team coming to the office where they work for you or with you, and they're like, I don't want to be here. I hate what I'm doing. They're on Instagram the rest of the day. But if they're motivated and they feel like they're part of a movement, people want to feel part of a movement. They want to go out and brag about you when you're not around.
Entrepreneurs need to be open to new perspectives and diverse opinions. Look at your workforce. Do they all look like you? Do they look different than each other? Do they have different experiences? It's really about, allowing people to speak up and allowing and encouraging them to speak about their experiences and how they can impact your business. Because all it takes is one good idea. A great example of someone who looks for new perspectives is Alice from Alice's Table.
Alice's Table empowers women across the country to launch their own businesses, teaching flower arranging classes. There are brilliant moms everywhere looking for flexible and creative ways to make money and lead in their communities.
So Alice's Table was a deal that Sarah and Blakely and I did together. And what's unique about Alice is she goes out and uses flowers and events and ever-growing number of opportunities to help women create their own businesses. And her business just keeps on growing and growing.
If you are successful as an entrepreneur, you end up free, but the sacrifice is immense. You won't be hitting a lot of barbecues on the weekends, and you won't see anybody playing soccer if you have kids, because you're going to be working.
I'm sure there's some ugly-looking cut-up sponges that Scrub Daddy put together.
Dozens and dozens.
One of my favorite sayings is, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only have to be right one time. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. Every time you fail, you learn. But if you get it right one time, everybody calls you an overnight success, and you just smile all the way to the bank.
All right, what do you guys think about that video? You can put it in the chat. Is it helpful? Right, Jessica says very informative, very helpful. Yeah, so definitely helps, absolutely. I love when Mark said that, starting a business or doing your own business is not easy. If it was easy, that anybody could do it. So I 100% agree with that. Perfect. Sounds like everybody enjoyed that. So let's review what we heard from the sharks quickly. And these are available in your in more detail on the pages 6 through 7 of your guide. So if you guys want to take a look at that, you could take a look at that as well. So if we look at some of the tips, the best pitch tips, one is know your customers or know your numbers, right? Investors will ask you that. Be creative, right? Have courage. Be a problem solver, because if, as you guys know, you run into problems a lot. So you have to be really a problem solver. Motivate others, especially if you're going to be working with a team and employees that you're going to be working with. You have to motivate them. Listen to diverse opinions, right? Sometimes someone can give you an opinion that could really help you with your business that you couldn't think of. And be ready to negotiate smartly on equity. So if you have an investor that's interested in your business, make sure to negotiate in the best advantage of yourself. Are any of these surprising to you guys? These tips that you just listened to?
Actually, they're very honest. If I don't have much of a voice today, but just knowing that I love Shark Tank, I was trained by like Brian Tracy from a long time ago when they used to have their little cassettes. And, when you're learning about the mindset to get to this point of knowing how to be in the creative, to know your numbers, I just was very encouraged by just the whole platform of it. Yet the part that I think is interesting in today's time is listening to diverse opinions. That is a very unique platform that I'm learning to embark upon even in this cohort, so I'm grateful for this information. And the reason that I said listening to diverse opinions is it made me look at the outreach of what we have to do when you're passionate about it and how you're approaching your target market. So for each of us is different, but tapping into new target markets are great.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So I completely agree. Anyone else? Are there any that you're particularly good at or still working on? Or is kind of like an opportunity for you?
I like that they said you don't have to be perfect, but just on your journey, because it's easy to be in a perfectionist mindset and trying to get everything to a certain standard, but it takes time, and I'm glad that you know, you don't have to be perfect, just constructively growing. So that
Right.
was kind of a good thing.
Yep. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah,
Kiddo
I
says courage. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that being creative and being a problem solver are really central to everything I do in my business anyway, because of our industry. So I'm always working on all of these things, I think, but for me, the ones that I need to work on most would be being ready to negotiate about equity. I did get an offer to go pitch on Shark Tank in 2018. I didn't do it because I started filling out the application and I was like, I am not nearly ready for this, and I don't want to sell part of my company. But it was really interesting to get into that mindset where the people who go on that show have these companies and they typically almost always only sell one product. And for me, that part is difficult to narrow it down to pitch only one product at a time. And I'm currently, that's my thing I'm focusing on for this competition is just doing one of the products that we do.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So if we go to the next slide, so we talked about what to do in the pitch a little bit. You know your numbers, tell us story, and communicate the roadmap. And these are best practices. But to drive the point home even further, it could be also to be helpful to consider pitching mistakes to avoid. So learning both what to do and what to avoid from the experience of others is always a smart way to go. So Forbes magazine put together a list of 22 mistakes when startups make when pitching to investors. We obviously won't be able to go through all of them, but I want to just be able to highlight a few of them. So if we look at mistake number 1, it's mistake number 8, it's not fully understanding and articulating competitive landscape. So a competitive landscape analysis should always be a part of your presentation. So telling a VC that you have no competition likely says you're unrealistic or naive. Of course, you have competition, whether that's direct, indirect, or someone who provides a substitute solution. And your analysis of your competitors will show an investor whether you have an understanding of the market. An investor will want to know why your product or technology is better than everything else that's out there. So you can assume that they will know about the competitor products or technology, so you need to have a good response when they ask you that question. Mistake number 9 is not explaining traction or current customers. So one of the most important things to relay signs of early traction or customers. If you have an app, investors will want to know how many downloads you have and how many additional ones you will have in the future. For the juice shop, they will want to know how many customers or sales you've had. How many have you gotten any brand name customers if you have a software company? How can the early traction be escalated? What has been the principal reason for the traction? Show how you can scale this early traction. What betas, what pilots, what proof of concepts do you have out there? This can have a great signal impact on your pitch. Mistake number 11, not demonstrating why the market opportunity is big and can thrive in the current climate. So most investors are looking for businesses that can scale and become meaningful especially in the current COVID, political, and economic climate. So make sure you address this issue right up front as to why your business can really become big. Don't present any small ideas. If the market opportunity for your initial product is not large, then perhaps you need to show the business company, you need to position the company as a platform, so allowing for the future development of multiple products in the future. Investors want to know the actual addressable market and what percentage of that market you plan to get over time. Mistake number 15 is not being able to articulate in coherent marketing strategy. Just because you built something great doesn't mean that it's going to sell or get any user adoption. Explain your plans to market your product or service. What outlets are you going to use? How can you cost effectively get to prospective customers? How will you use social media such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram? Will you do content marketing and put sponsored posts on the website like businessinsiders.com, forbes.com, and allbusiness.com? Will you do search engine marketing, or can you show it will be productive? What steps will you take to get some rapid sales or adoption of your offering? And then lastly is post-meeting follow-up. Mistake number 2. The last mistake we'll cover involves what you do in the post-meeting. This mistake is not sending a follow-up. Imagine if you just threw an amazing all expense paid birthday party for a close friend. And imagine now if they never bothered to send you a thank you note, how would you feel? Not great, right? Well, guess what? A potential investor or lender will feel the same way if you ghosted them after they took the time to listen to your pitch. No matter what, or no matter who you talk to, whether it's a lender, investor, or a potential business partner, always send a personalized thank you note. Not sending a thank you note is not is a mistake, and sending a generic one is even some ways worse than not sending a thank you note. Remember to send a thank you, and remember to make it personal. Even things don't work out, maybe the person on the other hand will be more inclined to refer you to someone else that could work. So remember to always send a thank you note. So we just covered a lot in terms of what to do and not to do. All of the points we covered were based on the experience of experts who've seen it all. So we threw a lot at you, but don't be worried. You can find all of this in your participant guideline. And of course, YouTube is also another source, good source for Shark Tank videos. So if we go to the next slide.
We do have a question here.
Sure.
So Jess was asking, how can we assess if or when we are ready to pitch if we don't have the customers or we don't have enough customers?
So I would say that you would want to work with what you currently have. I wouldn't say there is no such a thing as enough customers. So kind of focus on what you currently have and what you've done with those customers. More so that way you can focus on the positive side of your business. Or, if you don't have enough, make sure to explain your plan for the future and how you're going to get your business and how you're going to get more customers with your plan.
And to add to what Sammy just said, I would say if you know what your goal is for the pitch, if you're looking for funding, then that level of readiness is going to be very different than if you're just looking to get practice. If you're looking for additional customers or attention, if you're looking to convert that pitch deck into social media posts. So depending on your goal, your level is how you would assess your level of readiness.
Yep. Perfect. So now let's look at your juice shop. You have your location, number of stores and hours of operation, goods that you offer, your costs, your fixed costs, variable costs, and your customers. Now, your juice shop is operating smoothly, right? Now you're on to opening of a second one. So that we can go on to the next slide. So if you have gone through module 4, you will know that, you know, after emerging from months of challenging business disruption, it's time to open Juice Shop 2.0. And opening a second location will not be an easy task. You will know that you will need to raise additional cash to get the store up and running. So who do you go to, right? Based on what you learned in module 4, and those of you who went through it, looking at this graphic again, what is the stage of the juice shop business, and where do you think this shop can go for additional financing? So you can just chat that in. So A could be a startup, B, early stage, C, maturing, D, established.
So we have an answer. They're coming in right now. We have Guido was saying early stage. We also see maturing, and early stages. Maturing stage. Maturing, a bunch of different answers, but mostly would say early and maturing.
Okay. So our business is somewhere between the maturing and established phase. And at these stages, they have a wide variety of financing options available for the second shop as a result. So now that we have an understanding of the business stage, let's practice on creating the pitch for our juice shop. So for this one, I will need volunteers. So if anyone would like to volunteer, role 1 is going to have so I will need 3. I will need a pitcher, potential business stakeholder, which is the customer. And then I will need a evaluator, which will give the detailed feedback of the pitch.
Candace Lattimore will be the customer.
Okay, so we've got the customer.
I can pitch.
I'll do evaluating.
Solar Ingram can pitch.
Okay, so I think we have a pitcher already, right? What was the first person?
No, Candace Lattimore was the customer. Solar is the pitcher.
Okay. All right, and then
And Jana, right? I'm sorry, don't kill me.
It's Jana.
Jana, I'm sorry.
Okay, so to go deeper into the roles, so the pitcher, you will make a business pitch here. So this is an opportunity to gain a practice here in front of the group. So you have 2 options. One is you can pitch your own business. And 2 is if you have not started the business yet, or thinking about doing so and further, you can pitch the juice shop based on what you know about it. To allow, you know, so that will be the pitcher. And for the customer, you're interested in, well, actually for role number 2, potential business stakeholder. So you will be interested in being a business partner. So you will pretend to be a shark. Your role will be listen to carefully, try to understand the business, ask some clarifying questions, and imagine you had $10,000 to invest. So based on what you heard in the pitch, what are some of the things that the business you like, and what are some things that you like the pitcher to work on? And for the evaluator, your role will be to listen to the pitch and the business partner. And we'll ask once the pitch is over to play back what you heard, meaning explain, you know, through the 4 sentences what you learned during the pitch about the business, and think of things like what does the business does, what it needs to solve, and who the customer is on, why is it exciting for growth potential, and then we'll be here to give feedback. Any questions?
Not for me.
Okay. If
All right.
Any questions? We'll start with the pitcher.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Jenna, Candace? Great. I just wanted to,
Thank you.
thank you. I just wanted to take a moment and introduce you to something that, we were just speaking about in conversations earlier. Such a great networking this evening. We were talking about entering into diverse atmospheres, and I know that you are a phlebotomist, but you travel, right? Candace?
Yes, yes, this is correct.
Awesome. Well, I just got infused into a new community. You probably can see it back there. It's called the Slow Roll Buffalo. So my company is called Take a Solar Moment. My name is Solar Ingram, and I wanted to introduce you to possibilities of joining Slow Roll and myself as we go through Western New York and inform bikers and others on not only the health elements of riding bikes, but also give you a chance to highlight your business at the different locations throughout Western New York. It's kind of something that I do with multiple companies, but I thought that you might take an interest in it. How do you feel about that?
Okay, I'm interested in trying to figure out how Slow Roll would actually, partner up with phlebotomy. So I'm interested in your spill.
Well, a lot of times when people are active, it's important for them to understand who, what, and where they can continue to be active. And I remember you saying you're mobile. So for a lot of the population that have diversified, for me, with Take a Solar Moment, I wanted to share it with you because they're that population that needs blood drawn, they're on the go, they are taking care of their elderly. They kind of fit the market that I heard you speaking about early in the cohort introductions. So I thought it would be a great opportunity if you're available on Mondays, because it is a Monday ride mostly throughout the season, but throughout some of those Mondays to set up and really give that information up and pull up, with your mobile.
Okay, I'm interested in what's a solar moment. I've never heard of that before.
Well, it's Googleable. If you go to Google and you type in Take a Solar Moment, you'll see that I am a community engagement specialist. I infuse into atmospheres like Friday Night Lives on Jefferson, where I'm not only a host, but I highlight the different vendors and resources that are infused into the community to help that portion of the community. Same kind of thing I do with Slow Roll, but I also get a kick out of this, which is my real job. Please do not tell anyone else. But sometimes I actually go into schools and like today get a chance to talk to McKinley about the opportunities of entrepreneurship in the community. And then I go online, and this is what makes it Googleable. I talk about who's making the difference in the community. And I have a chance to engage about the businesses and the services and the opportunities and the outreach. So I like to share that with businesses like yours, especially in communities that think about health first.
That sounds really good, but I'm kind of skeptical because if they're riding bikes, how would that benefit me if they're just riding by? How would they stop and get blood drawn or, get cholesterol or blood pressure taken? How would that work?
I thank you so much for asking. Well, many people think it's just a bike ride, but before the bike ride, there's a gathering. And after the bike ride, there's a gathering where vendors of all sorts and resources are available. Same thing with Friday Night Lives on Jefferson. So if you want to come out on Friday and set up on Jefferson Avenue for the Friday Night Lives, which are actually people's lives, where we think about mental health and physical health and all kinds of engagements. So Monday, I'm with Slow Roll, and that's what they do before and after the ride. So it'll be a good time. Say temperature check. What does it look like? And you never know. So, and then on Fridays, it's the same thing, but more in a traumatized community. So when we infuse on Jefferson, we're more so re-engaging those that have the need of resources aftermath of the massacre. So my job is to engage into the community and welcome businesses of all sorts to come out and help the people get ready for life.
Well,
And I want
Solar, that sounds good, and I'd love to applaud you, girl, because I heard how you plugged your Friday business, girl. You was plugging. I love how you slid that in there.
But I really I appreciate you clarifying that it is not just a slow roll, because it would be nice to check someone's blood pressure in the beginning of the bike ride to see if it actually calmed them down, to see if this is something that they can possibly replace as opposed to like a sub.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost her.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think we lost her. Sammy, you want to jump in here?
Yep, I think we lost her. It was more towards. Yep, go ahead. Did I just hear her or no?
Candace, are you there?
No, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Okay, we thought we lost you there. Good to have you back. Thank you. So you were saying that you were glad to hear about the before and after blood pressure opportunities?
It looks like she left the Zoom completely.
Okay.
Yeah, she must be having issues with her.
I don't know what happened, but I got kicked off.
Hey, she's back. All right now. Come on now.
I'm back.
All right.
I
Now
had that
let's.
issue too.
All right. Well, before we don't want to lose you anymore. And I'm hoping that I have your information in the chat so we can stay together, right? Because I want to stay with you, because opportunities like yours come once in a lifetime. So listen to this. Before and after are the opportunities you were speaking of. Are you there? Yeah.
I think we're losing her there. So let's just. Are you back, Candace?
Yeah, I think Candace is probably having issues with her signal, so maybe we should move to the next person, or yeah.
Yeah, so we'll go
Whatever
to
you decide, Sam.
and kind of give us her role. So kind of play back what you heard, explain your understanding of the business and its operations, about 2 to 3 sentences, and then give 2 what worked well statements and give 2 even better if statements.
So from what I gleaned from their conversation, Solar has a company called Take a Solar Moment. And she is a community engagement specialist. She connects people to organizations in the community, and brings opportunities and events to different places, and sometimes acts as a hostess, sometimes acts as an MC, and brings a lot of people together. I think one thing that really worked well about this conversation was that it was obvious that Solar has paid attention when Candace has talked about her business. So she has done her research about Candace's business and is familiar with what she does and what she offers out in the community. And I think that she did a really good job of finding a way that she, in real life, can connect with Candace and link their businesses together to provide mutual benefit, which seems like a big part of Solar's company is mutual benefit, things that are good for her and good for the community by linking all their businesses and organizations together. One thing that I noticed that was missing from this pitch is the ask. So she has, according to what we had set up here, Candace was supposed to have $10,000 to invest in a business, and you did not ask her to give it to you for any reason. So that's a big part of doing the pitch, is making sure you ask somebody for money and tell them, say, hey, I want this $10,000 to do A, B, C, D, and E, and I need you to be part of it. Here's why. And I think that it needs that part. I hope that's useful.
Perfect. Is anybody else have anything to add to the pitch and the feedback?
I was just reading some of the comments.
Yes.
I think that it went really well. I think with the call dropping kind of didn't help her finish to get to the end part of it. But I think she was hitting the points.
Yep, I agree. And Solar, how did you feel as a pitcher? what do you think you could have done better?
For me, maybe not use, I guess, not give away who I am, but this is just who I am. I love Take a Solar Moment. It's as large as my rubber band ball, 30 years of hard work and understanding community engagement. So I don't know how to put that to the side. So for some, they might not understand my business, but I didn't understand it in the beginning. So learning how to put that in radio, 30 seconds is about 4 different ways to say how we can preserve our arts and our culture, but yet being detailed enough to know the spaces where that art and culture needs to be placed. It's sometimes like, okay, making sure I know where I am. Being with Candace and phlebotomy, I thought about health straight off the bat and people's lives. So I want to connect the community. And once again, I'll share the rubber band ball. It's a cherry piece of candy in the middle that says we are all connected and cover each other. So the only thing I could have done better is the ask is not always necessarily based on finances. It was making sure that she understood the space that she was in, where she would invest. And if the call would have not dropped, I believe that that ask could have been about to be, if I may, Madam Examiner, I would have asked for about 5, and I would have put 250 at one event and 250 at the other event, giving her marketing and promotion, not only at both events that cover me through those events, but yet a little fee of consulting in between. So those things are in place. So my option to pitch me or the juice company, I'm still organic with the juice. I love organic juice. I juice every morning. It's part of my pitch in the morning. Follow me, it's Googleable. So I chose real life because that's where I am.
No, I agree. I think someone said it in the comments that your energy was there. I mean, we just asked you to connect to someone and throw your pitch to someone that you didn't know who your investor was going to be. So I think you did a great job with connecting them. And sounds like you have your evaluation or your pitch in your back pocket. So I liked it a lot. Great job. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
We do have a hand raise. John, I think has a question.
How did I do? I'm so sorry that my phone dropped. Did I do okay?
Yes, yes. For the issues that we were having, you were great. Thank you.
This is Keto. Question, should we have landed on a price point?
So we weren't really talking about financial numbers. This was more of like the on the fly pitch. So I would say no. I mean, the potential business stakeholder wasn't really asking any specific financial numbers.
Well, not so much for financial numbers, but just the cost of being able to be a vendor before the slow rolling on the front end or either the back end. Should there have been a price showcased on that, or is this just really a talking point of what you're going to deliver as a service?
Correct. This was more of like a talking point of what you were delivering as a service. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We do have a hand raise. John has a question.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one thing. Solar, I think that the way you connect with people is magical, and I think it's great. And I have done a lot of kind of quick pitches like this, meeting people and, getting them interested in what I'm doing and buying things from me. And I just wanted to share that one thing that I've learned is that keeping in the back of your mind a general basic quick structure of I am, we are, we do, we want, when you only have a few minutes to talk to somebody like this is really helpful. So it gives you a chance to introduce yourself, talk about your business, talk about what you do, and then make sure you have time for the ask at the end. So for a quick pitch like this one, that's only going to be max 4 minutes. If you're having trouble practicing or getting your structure together, spend less than 1 minute on each. I am, we are, we do, we want, and you'll make sure you have all the parts of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so if we go to the next slide. A couple more. One more, perfect. All right, thank you. So we talked about externally pitching your business to potential investors, lenders, and partners. But what about your customers, right? So you certainly need to communicate your offerings, your mission, your value proposition to potential customers. Sometimes that's verbal, interaction with people in person at your store or your shop. Sometimes it's nonverbal. So it has to do with your marketing emails, your signage, even the way you display products or services online or in store. So customers pick on everything. So it's key that you don't miss opportunities to demonstrate that your values align to theirs, or that they can, that you can help meet an unmet need of they have. If you go to the next slide. So I want to kind of ask you guys some questions and kind of create this discussion of how to engage with customers cost effectively and make smart investments for our real world businesses. So think about your business and your experience now, and not the juice shop, and ask yourself. So we know that marketing budgets are limited for small businesses, but what are some effective ways that you've advertised your business? So you can chat that in or put that in the chat. And Manzur, you can, answer or read some of them. So what are some effective ways that you've advertised your business?
I got a vending event, wear your own clothing, your own merch, social media, sampling,
word of mouth.
Yep, word of mouth. We also have on a radio, or rely on referrals, social media again, and getting a lot of vendors and ads.
So I hear about radio,
Yeah.
social media, flyers,
We
magazines.
even have door-to-door, radio podcasts, flyers, commercials or magazine ads, sponsorship, blogs and emails, brochures. A lot of answers, great answers. Also a website.
Yep.
And news articles.
A lot of different options. But to me personally, I think the one that's most less cost effective is word of mouth, right? Relying on referrals. So as a branch manager and as to someone who deals with individuals on a daily basis, and also someone who has to achieve goals and quarterly basis, every single time that I meet with a customer, I ask them for a referral, because I truly believe that the service that I give them is a great service. And my customers walk out of the branch extremely happy because every single time I give them that wow experience. So nothing stops you to ask that customer to talk to their friends about you, to talk to their family about you. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is the service that I gave you. I would love for you to tell your friends. I would love for you to tell your family, because trust me, you don't have to spend any money on to do that. So personally, word of mouth and referral to me is the best way to market yourself. The second question is, how do you allocate resources in your own business? So when it comes to making investments in your own business, dreams, what are your dreams? What are some of the trade-offs that you consider in making investments in your own business?
So I'm seeing here, community committed to members who spread word to the business, and I've seen stakeholders. Jessica also said, once I went to a location that provided a service that they refused tips in returns for likes and follows on social media instead.
I like that.
We also have how fast I can make the investment back, usually for buying equipment or paid marketing, PR? That is a question, I believe.
Okay. So to pick off that, so number 3 would be, so based on what some of the activities that we talked about and some of the options that we have for marketing investment, what activities provide the most value in your experience? So I talked about mine. Now let's talk about yours.
Networking.
Word of mouth.
Networking and talking to people, 100%.
I'm sorry, what was that again, Jenna?
Going to networking events, anytime I can be in front of more people, is 100% the best way to market my business. Because we make weird things and people don't really know what they are or that they need them until I tell people they exist. So once they know they exist, I don't have to sell anything. They just come to get it, which is cool.
Right. Yeah.
We also have, again, word of mouth and collaborate with larger organizations, doing closeout surveys, then ask for a referral.
Yep, I agree, Kido. Yeah.
Solar has a question or a comment.
It's kind of like a question comment in between. For me, it's the consistency of having the brand to advertise. So even though it's important to say, okay, yes, that's one resource. It's if I don't have the consistency of the brand to advertise, it's kind of hard to lock into the market of the people to buy the upsell of who I am or what I sell or what I do.
Okay. Yeah.
Ali, we also have a couple of comments here. The best way for Carolina said the best way for me is going to be word of mouth, because business is service based and focused on mindset. And also there's a question on what is a closeout survey. And someone else answered that already.
Nice. These are all great answers. Thank you, guys. All right. So if we go to the next slide, so we've focused a lot on the external pitch, right? So communicating with stakeholders and your customers. And when it comes to communicating, we also mentioned earlier that you must also pitch your value proposition to your internal teammates, which are your employees. So your internal teams are critical to your business's success, as they are interfere with, the customer and clients that you serve every day. So let's dig a little bit deeper that. So another big investment you can make in your business is putting the time and effort needed to set up a great team. So, I want to again ask you a couple of questions to you guys. So have any of you hired any employees? Or do we have anyone that's already have any employees?
I have.
Hello. Oh, I'm sorry.
I tried to hire my mom, but she got fired.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Had to get rid of her.
Talking.
I'm sorry, who's I can't see who's talking.
Oh, it's me, Kara. I'm sorry. I'm in a car. I'm finishing teaching a class. So I wouldn't say they're employees. I would say they're more contract workers. So they're facilitators.
Okay. So okay, we can talk about them. What is your people's strategy, and why is it so important to hire those contractors, or how do you pick your contractors?
So I put out bids. Some of them are based on personal relationships. So full transparency, I'm working towards becoming an MWBE certified business. So I do it a couple of ways. I go on social media or I take word of mouth. So usually a contractor that I have, I'll work with them to recruit other contractors and facilitators. So that's been my biggest way, but I am looking for more of a streamlined process of attracting more facilitators, because as the work grows, I'm going to need more people on the ground in the schools doing the work.
Okay. That's
but they're
awesome.
not W-2. That I hope to get to W-2 if I get a grant real soon.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there, no doubt. Do we have anybody that actually has employees, like W-2 employees?
I do.
Okay. And who's speaking?
Me.
Jonna?
I
Okay, perfect. So can you tell us a little bit about, what your people strategy is and why is it important and why is it so important for you?
Why is it important for me to have a team? Or like, how do I make sure that everybody works well or I have the right people?
Yep. So how do you find right people? And why is it important to find the right people?
I mean, initially I put my application out on Facebook when I was first hiring. So I'm an artist, so I needed studio assistants. So it's not like a typical regular job description that you would like put out on, I don't know, Indeed.com or whatever. So I put it out. I got a handful of other artists. I also know a lot of other artists who make things and had skills that I was looking for. So I interviewed several different people. Since I started hiring people, I have had we'll say like 5 or 6 people, not all at the same time, who've worked for me regularly. I have also done some really big contracts where I had to hire a lot of people very quickly for a short period of time. So it depends on what I'm hiring them for. So
Okay.
if I was looking for someone, when it was just me and I needed one other person, really, I needed another set of hands of someone who had some of the skills that I had and then some skills that I didn't have. So they could do some of the things that I was already doing, and then they could do things that I didn't know how to do. I generally try to hire people who have some kind of background in making art or are artistic and have some kind of art degree, something related to the field. But really, I think the most important people to hire are the people who are great at things you suck at.
Mhm.
I'm not great at like process mapping and writing down procedures and keeping everything organized and put away and keeping up with paperwork and creating systems. Like, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. So one of the first people I hired was someone who's great at that kind of stuff.
Well,
And she's
that's
still
that's a key to being a team, right? So you can't do everything by yourself, especially when your business is growing. You got to produce a lot more. Your stakeholders are asking more and more and more. You can't do everything yourself. So creating that great team is to look for people that do things that you cannot do, so that you can work as a team to achieve your goals and grow more. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, so if I talk about my personal experience, and we'll go on a breakout in about 2 minutes, I've done a lot of hirings for a teller position, for a banker position, but some of the key things that I always look for is talent. I look for someone that is going to be able to have a conversation with customers, that someone's going to be able to connect with customers, that someone is passionate about helping people. Because the other things like product knowledge you can learn, but if you are not able to connect with people, if you can't have a conversation with others, and if you're not a quick learner, I should say, then we can't really teach that to others. But product knowledge always comes second for me. So that's my personal experience. Anybody else wanted to add anything before we go into a breakout?
Sammy, is there a way that we can take a quick 10-minute break at 6:30?
Yeah, that's
and then we can reconvene.
We're gonna do that now. If that's if anybody else doesn't have anything to say, we'll go on a break. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So it is 6:30 to be exact. So 10-minute break, and then we'll be back.
Thanks, guys. Just in case they're still on the call, iPhone, Can you rename yourself, please? Because at this point, I don't know who you are, so you've been marked absent. So rename yourself, please, or put your name in the chat. Thank you.
I think a few sessions ago, some other folks who didn't want to break introduced themselves, and I'm wondering if we're doing that or if we're truly breaking.
Yeah, I mean, if there's still someone here, you can absolutely do that. Absolutely. Let me see. I don't know if we can actually turn. Let me see. The presentation, we could probably take that off. Let's see. Manzir, could you?
Presentation. Are you still there?
Let me see if I can take it. Hold on, guys. My bad. How do I stop sharing? Got it. All right, guys. Feel free to talk.
Exactly what the an unfavorable customer service experience is the #1 reason first-time customers or clients move on. 3 is helps your business grow. So invested employees who help you save precious management time and drive customer satisfaction will help your business grow. Lowers turnover cost. Hiring the right person the first time not only saves times, but it also saves money and increases business stability. So cycling team members in and out of your business is also super disruptive. Replacing a team member costs an average about 25% of their annual salary due to the time and effort that it takes to find and attract new talent. So I want to pause on this a little bit and talk about it. Turnover is the biggest struggle that all, whether a small or business, big businesses are currently having. And in my branch, I have a lot of seasoned colleagues. But anytime that someone leaves and I get a new person on, every single customer that walks into my branch is like, oh, we got someone new. Customers like to see a familiar face. So if you can have the same person working for you so many years, one, you don't have to pay for training. You don't have to train another person, so that saves time. 3 is it makes the customers happy because when they walk into your business, they like to see a familiar face. So every time they walk in, it's like they're home. They know everybody there. They like to be called by their name. So I wanted to kind of focus on that a little bit. Number 5 is increases team building and morale. It should be no surprise that team members are more productive when they're surrounded by people they like to be around and work with. I mean, as you guys know, when you're working in your business, in your office for 10, 11 hours a day, you see your team more than your family. Who here by show hands, who can show me by hand that they do their best when they work around people that they get along with? Do you guys agree? That you do your best when you work with that when you work with the team that you get along with. Nice, absolutely. In fact, a nationwide study from 2019 tells us that happy teams are 20% more productive than unhappy ones. So when you think about the size of the workforce that year of 128 million American workers, that means you could have essentially generated the productive output of an additional 25 million employees had they all been a part of teams that they got along with. So I'd like to pause it here to allow you to digest on this slide a little bit and talk about anything that stands out or anything here that you've seen particularly true in your experience in assembling your teams at your businesses. So which of these items that relates to you the most, or do you think is true, or which of these that you think you could work on? You can come off mute or chat it in.
I
It
always
says meet your team. Yeah.
I always try to really really remember what it was like being an employee in someone else's business before I was running my own business. And I remember that all of the people who work for me have lives outside of working for me. And the more that I remember their humanity and give them the freedom to know that there's a lot of things in their lives that are more important than working for me. So say they're like, you know, I'm really just having a rough week. I need an extra day to get my crap together. I'm like, cool, you do you. You're not going to do the best work if I'm forcing you to be here when you're not ready to be here. We'll figure it out. And, you know, I had an employee, I hired her, and shortly after I hired her, her husband had cancer and was dying of cancer. And she's like, I need to be able to take care of him. And I'm like, just let me know when you're ready to come back. And she took 2 months off. And I was like, cool, just, you know, you do you. And when you're ready to come back, come back. And she still works for me now. And she's been with me for 4 years. So.
Yeah, I agree. I hired a teller a couple of months ago, and she got out of training, and 3-4 weeks later, her father passed away, which her father, they were extremely close. They were talking on a daily basis, but he lived in another country. And she called me up and said, you know, Sammy, my father passed away. I have to go to India. I said, sure, go do whatever you need to do. Don't worry about work. Just keep me updated. And she was there for about 4 weeks. And when she came back, obviously it's not easy. So she's, you know, trying to get used to, you know, come back to life and be positive. But as far as the work goes, she's fully on board and everything. And I can tell that I won that colleague for forever now. And that if you were to ask her if she would ever leave Citizens, she would say no, because I cared about her. Anybody else? Or do we have anything in the chat, Monzer?
Yes, I see that just said don't hire until you absolutely need to. We also got emotional intelligence is the key. And there was a question for Jenna, and I believe she already answered that in the chat, but that's about it. And Solar has her hands up. I think she has a comment on that.
Okay. You said she has her hands up?
Yes, Solar, do you still have a question, or do you have a comment on? We have you're on mute.
Solar, do you have a question or comment? Your hand is up.
That was my mistake. I apologize.
It's okay.
All right, so we can move on to the next slide. So you need to hire the right people. I think we all know that. But at the same time, you also must be a role model for them. So ultimately, it's your company, it's your values, and your culture starts with you. So I want to ask you guys one other question. In one word, what does a great leadership mean to you? For me personally, for my leaders or for my leadership, I look up to someone that influences me in a positive way. How about you?
We got follow, organized, and a hand up, and we also got supportive communication. They're coming in right now. Support their ambition and dreams, to guide people to the best version of themselves, and flexible.
Okay.
And a bunch of hands up. We have
Understanding and support, transparent. Yes, I completely agree, LaShawn. Transparent is very important.
This is my work phone. They gave me a whole work phone. They were like, "Oh, here." Like, really? Like, I can put it up on there. It sounds like it's
Someone
so.
You got human, caring, a team player, understanding and supportive and motivating. We also giving them the freedom and agency to bring their ideas to the table and then integrating them as much as possible.
Yeah. I think it's also important that finding what motivates each other, right? Because not everybody is motivated for the same thing. Some are motivated by money. Some are motivated by recognition. I think finding the right motivation for the right person is also important. All right. So
Keto has her hand up as well, and Ashley also has her hand up.
I wanted to say that having a great leader is someone that really like meets you where you're at and gives you a total experience, right? So a lot of this is experience driven. I know distinctively from my real life example, I met my mentor in the elevator with a 30-second pitch because I saw that they were a powerful person and I was new to the organization. So I took my stab in the elevator, and that was back in 2006. And since then, we've flip-flopped between mentor, mentee. And we also have, built that community type of culture where not only did I benefit from the mentor-mentee relationship, but my children did as well. So that to me is a real living example of a highly effective leader.
That's true. Yes. Thank you.
Ashley, do you have a comment?
Yeah, sorry, I was stuck on mute. I think an effective leader has discernment. And when I say discernment, I mean they are intuitive when to lead and when to follow, because sometimes it's necessary for a leader to follow. And in order to do that, they need to be able to have the intuition to know the strengths and weaknesses of their team as well as themselves.
Yes, I agree. Definitely.
Jenna
Anybody
also has her hand up, and then we'll go with Solar.
One of the things I always appreciated from leaders I've had was kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone and challenging me to try new things that I haven't done before. And I ended up incorporating that with one of my staff members who is typically very shy and introverted. And I, through circumstance, put her in a situation where she had to give a tour and do a little demo in our studio to a whole group of kids. And because she did it, she came up to me and she said, I didn't ever think that I would be the kind of person who would want to teach. But now I liked it and I had a good time doing it. And I have since given her charge of our workshop department. So now she creates all the workshops and teaches them. So.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. I think when we talk about growth and when we talk about development, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, then it's really hard for you to grow. Because when you get out of your comfort zone, you notice things that you could do things that you didn't think you could do. But at the same time, when you get people out of the comfort zone, it's really important to make sure that you support them through that transition. Because if you just leave them by himself, then they're going to get frustrated. Then they're going to think, you know what, this is not for me, and it can backfire. So it's very critical to make sure that you support your colleagues through that transition when they're getting out of their comfort zone.
I believe you took the words right out of Solar's.
I'm over here like that. That is the most important thing. I think I tell my mentor, especially in this season of where I am, she made me level up, and I'll never forget. She said, choose. And I'm like, what's the choice? And the choices became to get out of my own way and follow a leader who has footprints for me to step in. And as she saw me working with youth, she's like, okay, so how long are you going to stay here before you choose to make the next level. And it's been 3 years of work, but what you just said is what I really wanted to like look at. She never left me. She invested in me. She gave me opportunities. She stood by me. She gave me the hard talks when I didn't want to hear it. She gave me the pep talks when I didn't want to do it. You know, I don't make a move without my wise counsel now. Whereas when I wasn't as mature in the business, it was a hit or miss on the level of mentorship or who I was following. It would get to that level. I'm like, okay, well, I learned this, but what's next? But this would also encompass who I was. So that was the choice. Like, accept all of who that energy is, accept all of that, and then let's work with that and bottle it up into something to sell or something to profit and something to live off of and give your children and your children's children. So, yes.
Yes. And by doing that, right? So when you accomplish that change, when you accomplish that growth, you gain the trust. I think that's the key word here is that trust. Gaining someone's trust, you can't buy that. It comes with the leadership. It comes with the support. It comes with the mentorship. So thank you guys for all the feedback. All right, so we can move to the next slide. Post-session work. You know, I want to thank you guys for all of your participation today. You know, hopefully this module was very helpful, understanding and practicing ways to effectively communicate your business to your customers, your potential investors, and partners, and obviously your team members as well. So you can move on to the next slide, Manzur. From this point on, I'd say practice, 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 practice. You know, I encourage you to refine your pitch and practice your business pitch with your friends and your mentors. You can check out your participant guide, additional resources to help with your business pitch. But the more you practice, the more you role play, the more you will get comfortable pitching your business anywhere you go to. So practice makes perfect. I enjoyed working with you guys. I hope that information that I've shared, it was helpful. I hope that you guys enjoyed working with me. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, any banking questions that you have, as much as I can answer before we wrap this up?
I have a question. I don't know if it's for you um or who it's for, but for the pitch, would we be given an example of a sample one that is formatted exactly the way that it's expected?
That would be an answer to pass, or question to Pat Stone, I think.
Are you speaking about something different than the outline that was given?
Yeah, like an actual sample pitch, not the outline. Like one that was an example of a good pitch.
I don't know that Pastone has previous pitches, but I would say you are going to have probably at least 2 to 3 practice sessions before you go live. So if you start by dropping your content into the outline that you have, and then refining it a little bit here and there as we get into session 6, I think it is. So probably starting the lab after session 5 is when you'll first start to be able to really start putting that out and refining it, if that helps.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, also, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that we recorded the finals from last year. And we can tell you guys who won from that so that you could take a look at how they were successful in their pitch. But I'll go ahead and send that out in our follow-up email. I'll put put it in our like OneDrive thing, or the folder. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we recorded that, so I can share that. And then I know we have some questions here. Solar and then Liz.
I
Nope.
just wanted to
Oh.
ask one question before we do get off. I just wanted to make sure, and I noticed it's off, but I wanted to make sure in the LinkedIn, are we all gonna get that inbox? So that we can.
Yep, so you mean the link to the actual like group?
Yes.
Yep, so it's actually I sent it in the follow-up email. I'll do it again this time. So
Okay.
you guys just click on that link and then request to be in it. Okay. You can also request to connect with me, and then I'll go ahead and send it your way as well. I can do that too. Also,
Thank you.
Keto, I sent you a request to do that. I'm sorry, I thought that I had helped you connect to it last time, but it was not you. So I sent that to you. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the misunderstanding there. And then Liz.
Whoever it was that asked about the examples of the pitch decks, the email that we got for this session from citizens has like 6 links into it, like on it, and it has ones that it was actually great. I looked them over, and it had a bunch of examples of like horrible slides because they were like too small, or they had like information that was irrelevant. So there were a bunch. If you scroll down to like the bottom of the email that we got, you'll see there's like 6 links, and it has what Jenna was talking about as well, the different people to surround yourself with. But there were like 6 really good links at the bottom.
Thank you for that, Liz. Any other questions, guys?
One thing I want to add is you guys are all business owners. Whether you bank with Citizens or use a different bank for your business, please do go into your local branch and ask them some of the services and some of the resources that they have for businesses. You'd be surprised what banks can offer to you that can help your businesses grow and take a lot of the responsibilities off your shoulders. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Sammy. That's a really good point. Definitely, you guys are going to want to create those relationships with your bankers for sure. As you grow, they can help you grow.
Yep. The banks offer a lot of different resources and a lot of services that a lot of business owners don't know that they have that available.
Exactly. Thank you, Sammy. And then let's see, Denise, can you email me, please? Because I'm in the car right now, and I'll be able to help you out. All right, guys. Thank you, Sammy, for that.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, this was really awesome. You guys are a really, really great partner, so we appreciate you being here, and this was a really good meeting or presentation. Guys, we had to like hop off real quick because there was like a fire alarm at our office, so that's why I'm in my car right now. But I was just gonna say, if you guys are having any issues accessing like the folder with all of our resources in it, let me know. But everyone should have access to that. And yeah, I think that's all we had to talk about. But yeah, remember class or lab continues this Thursday. And if you have any questions or anything, just email me. All right. Thank you guys. And thanks, Kim, for holding down the fort while I was gone here.
No problem.
Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Everyone.
Have a good night.
Have a good one.
No, thank you.
Thank you.